Hello and welcome. Today, we're bringing you a fun and relaxing yoga session that's perfect for kids. Get ready to stretch, breathe, and feel great in just 10 minutes. Start by finding a comfortable spot on the mat and take a few deep breaths to calm your mind and settle into your yoga practice. Pose 1. Tree pose. Stand with your feet hip-width apart and place your right foot on your left thigh. Balance on your left foot. Bring your hands together at your heart and take deep breaths. Hold for 5 breaths and then switch sides. Pose 2. Downward dog. Start on your hands and knees, then lift your hips up towards the ceiling and straighten your arms and legs. Relax your head and neck and take deep breaths. Hold for 5 breaths. Pose 3. Cobra pose. Lie on your belly with your hands under your shoulders and press up, lifting your chest and head off the mat. Take deep breaths and hold for 5 breaths. Pose 4. Child's pose. Kneel down on your mat, then sit back on your heels and reach your arms forward. Relax your head and neck and take deep breaths. Hold for 5 breaths. Pose 5. Warrior. Step your left foot back, bend your right knee, and raise your arms above your head. Hold for 5 breaths, then switch sides. Pose 6. Cat-cow stretch. Start on your hands and knees, then alternate between rounding your back and arching it, moving slowly and smoothly. Hold each pose for 5 breaths. Pose 7. Mountain pose. Stand tall with your feet together, arms at your sides, and take deep breaths. Hold for 5 breaths. Pose 8. Butterfly pose. Sit on your mat with the soles of your feet together and hold your feet with your hands. Flap your legs up and down like butterfly wings and take deep breaths. Hold for 5 breaths. Pose 9. Lion pose. Sit on your heels, then open your mouth wide and stick out your tongue. Make a roaring sound and shake your hands and fingers. Hold for 5 breaths. Pose 10. Boat pose. Sit with your knees bent and feet flat on the floor, then lift your feet and arms off the ground, balancing on your sitting bones. Hold for 5 breaths. Pose 11. Happy baby pose. Lie on your back, then bend your knees and hold the outside of your feet with your hands. Rock gently back and forth and take deep breaths. Hold for 5 breaths. Pose 12, star pose. Stand with your feet wide apart, then reach your arms out to the sides and up over your head, forming a star shape. Hold for 5 breaths. Pose 13, crab pose. Sit on your mat with your knees bent and your hands behind you, then lift your hips up and balance on your hands and feet. Hold for 5 breaths. Pose 14, elephant pose. Stand on all fours, then lift your right arm and left leg and hold for 5 breaths. Switch sides and repeat. Pose 15, frog pose. Start on all fours, then widen your knees and lower your hips towards the ground. Hold for 5 breaths. Pose 16, squirrel pose. Stand with your feet hip-width apart, then bend down and touch your hands to the ground, reaching your heels up towards the sky. Hold for 5 breaths. Pose 17, rabbit pose. Kneel on your mat with your hands on your lower back, then tuck your chin to your chest and reach your hands toward your feet. Hold for 5 breaths. Pose 18, cat-cow. Pose with a twist. Start on your hands and knees, then alternate between rounding your back and arching it, twisting your torso as you move. Hold each pose for 5 breaths. Pose 19, chair pose. Stand with your feet hip-width apart, then bend your knees and reach your arms overhead, as if you're sitting in an invisible chair. Hold for 5 breaths. Pose 20, Dolphin pose. Start on your hands and knees, then lower your forearms to the mat and reach your tailbone towards the sky. Hold for 5 breaths. And that's it for today's 10-Minute Kids Yoga for Energy and Relaxation. We hope you had fun with these poses and that you feel energized and relaxed. Remember to practice yoga regularly to help improve your flexibility, balance, and strength, and to cultivate a sense of calm and focus. Thank you for practicing with us today, and have a great day. Namaste.